Why does a company need money for the transactions that it is going to do? The primary job of a prospectus is to first create awareness. If you want to go in for public, you need to give a detailed prospectus. The contents will have the amount of minimum subscription. Good morning and welcome to the session 3 of Unit 3 in company law, and we are going to talk about the prospectus. Now, prospectus is a very important part for a company. Why? Because this is going to detail out what the company is, what is the image altogether. So what is going to happen here is that we are going to decide about the factors under which how a company's brand image value is going to be decided. Moving forward, we're going to talk about the prospectus in such a way that it is a document that describes of any kind of notice. It is going to be an advertisement inviting offers from the public for the capital investment. It might be in terms of shares or debentures or inviting deposits or any kind of factors that could be taken in from the public with a prior notice. Now, most of us know that when we go in for admissions or when we go in for any of the colleges or any factor, there is a prospectus which talks about the institution, which talks about what are the courses available, how do they do it. So similarly, a prospectus is the first-hand information about a company. So the prospectus will be able to tell us today that what is the company doing, how they are able to take it forward, what are all the factors that are governing inside it, and why does a company need money for the transactions that it is going to do. Now, generally, let's say that today Reliance Industry wants to go in for an IPO, or another company like Sun Pharma wants to go in for an IPO. The reason here is that when I use the word IPO, it is initial public offering. Why do they want to go in? Because they want to derive more capital. They need money for certain functions. They need money for certain activities to be done. In that category, in that case, what happens here is that the public wants to know more about the company. The public will not give money just like that because, they know the company or the company is into existence. What is the company all about? What are they doing? Why is that they are looking for a capital? So you need a handbook, you need a printout that is going to talk about the company more clearly, more specifically, trying to tell them how they are planned to come out and what are all the factors they are involved in terms of building up this prospectus. So whenever you see a prospectus, you will be able to see that in the prospectus, every single aspect of the company would be clearly written, and they would go through it in terms of understanding the real value, how they are doing it, what are the factors, what are the functions altogether. So now what is happening here is that the government approved factors, the government approved projects or whatever they are going to take forward, is there going to be any kind of new activities in which they are involved, all these things will be mentioned under the prospectus. Now, the prospectus is such an important document that you cannot just give it to the hands of public without having a proofreading on that. Which means to say that it is not just about doing a spell check or it is not about just putting into the corrections, but it is all about the choice of words and the facts that have been mentioned in the prospectus. Because many times what happens is that in a hurry, in a way to just project yourself more stronger, more attractive, you might have just gone ahead and used the choice of words in the prospectus so that you will be able to attract more money from the public. But in reality, let me tell you, it is not like that. Why? Because the government will again come back and question, saying that if there are some mistakes, if there are something that has been misspelled or misstated, then automatically this will get into a problem. So that's why prospectus is always considered to be a very important document that needs to be clearly understood and put forward so that the people are interested in investing in your company. Moving forward, let's try to understand the real meaning of prospectus. It is released by the company to inform public and investors of various securities that are available. Now, let me just put a stop here for a moment. Now, it is to inform, which means the primary job of a prospectus is to first create awareness, provide information to the public. It is not about just saying that prospectus is there, you can just go through and start investing. It is not about that. It is all about making the public aware about the situation of what the company is going through, how the company is going through. So what is happening here is that the company prospectus is going to be a very, very important document that is going to make you understand the functionaries, the ideologies, what are all it's available in the company, how the company is performing, the awareness, the operation levels, all those factors will be discussed in the company prospectus. So that is where they are first trying to create an awareness, they are first trying to create an open factors altogether. Second thing is that these documents describe about mutual funds, bonds, stocks, and other forms of investment offered by the company. Now, everybody who is a potential investor might not be interested in just applying to the shares of the company. What will they think about is that they will try to find out, is there alternatives in which I can invest? Can I take up some alternatives? Can I take up some extra activities of the company? Might be in mutual funds, might be in debentures or in corporate deposits, something which is more attractive enough than this original factor of shares. So now what happens is that if the company has an option, now let me give you an example here, HDFC, I'm not going with the bank, but I'm just going to give you in terms of the HDFC, the Housing Development Finance Company. Housing Development Finance Company is a non-banking finance company which also takes in deposits, which also gives out in mutual funds and so many other factors altogether. Now, the main aim of HDFC is to provide home loans, that they belong to that sector of operation. But what that HDFC do other than offering shares, they are in mutual funds, they are in stock option, they are in debentures, they are also in corporate deposits. So when they get the prospectus of HDFC, what will the people do is that they will first look into the options that are available in that company. Now, for example, if there are corporate bonds or there are some guaranteed factors that are being told, then people would like to go in for that. So the prospectus needs to mention each and everything that is very, very clearly, so that the public will be interested to find out the investing options in your company. Followed by a prospectus is generally accompanied by the basic performance and financial information of the company. The third factor which I would like to talk about. What is HDFC? We all know. But how is HDFC performing? Sir, is it doing really very well in that sector? Is it the leader of that sector? Is it the leader in the market? Is it segment-wise reporting is very good? How is the financial performance of the company? All these factors will come into picture when we are talking about this entire scenario or situation. So that's why I will always say that the concept of prospectus is not about that limitation in terms of information. It is about going into a deep dive session of the company, trying to provide all kind of information. Now, recently, when Reliance was trying to go in for an IPO for Jio, or when you would try to hear about companies like IRCTC when it came for an IPO, or when you start looking at Burger King, which has recently launched its IPO, all of these companies would have given a clear snapshot view of the company's performance altogether. They are companies who have believed and who have understood the factor that the customer, the investor, should be 100% informed about what is happening in the company and how the company is performing. If the company's performance is not being clearly told, if the company's performance is not being understood at all, then there is no point at all in promoting the company, in taking it forward to the next level. So it becomes highly important for each one of us at this stage, at this crucial juncture to understand, to evolve and take it forward. So it is, it's highly mandatory that we all see that there is an amount of factor that comes into picture of the prospectus. So moment the consumer starts looking into the prospectus and he starts finding that there's a lot of information that's coming up all together, which makes him even more confident that yes, this company is trying to highlight itself, come out with all the facts as far as possible. So we will go ahead and try to invest here. The second thing is that prospectus is a legal document altogether. So when I talk about the legal document and when I talk about Securities Exchange Commission and all those factors, both in India as well as at the abroad level. Now what happens here is that it's a legal document. So let me just underline that word here, which is required and filed by the SEBI. Now in India, we have this board called as SEBI, Securities Exchange Board of India, which is the supervisor or the monitor of all the stock exchanges. So this prospectus document has to be presented to the SEBI first, who will try to approve the document, who will try to understand what has gone inside the document. Because this is a legal document, this cannot be played around, this cannot be taken for a lighter vein, in a lighter manner altogether and said that, okay, this is just a document. But this is a legal document which has to be approved by the SEBI and it has to be given in such a way that each and every detail will be monitored by the SEBI and understood clearly. So that's why before it goes to sale for the public, that's why I'm telling you here, it should have the facts that the investor needs to make an informed decision. Many a times we might have seen the advertisement of an IPO coming up in our television channels, in social medias and other kind of channels altogether. But what are we trying to talk about when this comes in business news or channel is that the investor is slightly worried and he is deeply disturbed by the factor that is this a right decision to make? Today, if I decide that I want to put money in Tata Steel, or if I decide that I want to put my money in Tata Motors, which is a right decision for me? Which company to look at? If I'm not looking at these two companies at all, can I go and suddenly invest money in HCL Technologies? So my ideology, my intention here as an investor is to think twice, thrice or 10 times, understand my options that have been presented, and then work judicially on the options clearly enough so that I'm able to present myself, I'm able to safeguard my money and take it forward. So that is why I would always say that this is a very, very important option that we are talking about. Moving forward, now, which companies are required to issue prospectus? Now, this is a very, very interesting question. So, which are those companies where prospectus is needed? Now, this is like asking whether every college will have a prospectus, whether every college will have a diary, whether every college will have an application form. Actually, if you have to look into that factor, when it comes to company, we say that every public listed company who intends to offer shares or debentures of the company to the public mandatorily needs to have a prospectus. Moment I have decided that I will go to the public, I will apply for the shares and I want the public to become a part of my factor altogether. That means, yes, I need to have a prospectus in hand. If I don't have a prospectus at all, that means it will lead to a problem. It will lead to an entirely different scenario altogether. So that is why I always say that this is mandatory for each one of us to understand and take it forward. Now, every private company who ceases to be a private company and then wants to convert into a public company intends to offer shares or debentures of the company to the public. So this becomes very, very interesting for each one of us here to understand. Why? Because I was a private company few years back. I was a private company trying to understand the functionaries of the market, trying to become a small company, but yet a potential company serving a particular sector altogether. all of a sudden, I got this ideology in mind that I should become a public company where I will be able to access the capital better. I would be able to reach the customers better. I would need to have a potential investor coming towards me rather than going and raising funds from bank or other institution. The day when I decide that I want to move from private to public, automatically prospectus becomes a very, very important document for me. Without prospectus, I cannot go to the public and appeal for money or appeal for investment at any point of time. That's why the SEBI says very, very clearly, the SEBI, let me write it one more time for you, the Securities Exchange Board of India, SEBI. It says very, very clearly that in case if you want to go in for public, you need to give a detailed prospectus about your operation, nature of business, your financial information, whatever cases, whatever legal formalities that you have gone through in the last few years. So we need to know very clearly what kind of company you are before you go and start talking to the public. So that is why I say prospectus is a very, very important document that needs to be presented on time. Moving forward, contents of the prospectus. What are the contents that are there in prospectus? The contents of the memorandum of association with the signatory, number of shares prescribed by them. So now when I talk about a company like HDFC, there would be on the first page the memorandum of association, number of shares held by the members, the signatories, their sign, their factors, whatever they hold, who they are, all the details will be given about the members. The number and value of the share. Suppose HDFC has got 10 crore shares in the market. So the value of 10 crore shares and the number of shares will be mentioned in the prospectus. Description of the business to be undertaken and its prospect, and any provision to the articles including the remuneration of the directors and chief executive. Now let me come to the first point. Description of the business. HDFC is a non-banking financial company involved in the process or involved in the business of providing home loans to the people. So this is a very, very clear-cut statement where I want to make, saying that that is the nature of business to be undertaken. So why do I need funds? Because I am starting an NBFC company. It's a public limited company which will work in the area of home finance. So that is why I need money from the people. This is what my company is. These are my board of directors. He is my CEO. This is the salary that has been paid to the directors and to the CEO. So my remuneration package is also being clearly told to you so that you have a complete transparency of what is happening, how it is happening, followed by the particulars of present and proposed directors, the chief executives and all those factors. Why? Because who is going to take over, who are the people, what they are doing, how they are doing it, all those details have to be presented. Followed by the contents will have the amount of minimum subscription. Now what happens here is that people will be skeptical enough to invest in your company at the first go itself. They will not be interested in taking up 1,000 shares or 10,000 shares at one go. They want to invest one share and see whether this company performs or not. But then for the company, this is not a time to take any chance. The company will say that, sir, minimum 100 shares to be prescribed at the face value of 100 rupees each. So we are going to tell the investors what should be the minimum number of shares and the investment to be made, followed by the date and time of opening of the subscription, what time it is going to be, all those factors. So I'm going to give you the event, the details, as well as at what time you can go ahead and start investing in the company, followed by amount payable for the application. Because when you are purchasing a prospectus, when you are purchasing an application, there's always a fee that is attached to it. So that is also going to be told here. The number, description, amount of share capital that is being issued to the two preceding years with the amount of the premium or discount, if any. Now, name of the underwriters along with the opinion of the directors as the financial soundness of underwriters. Now, what I'm trying to do here is that whoever is going to write the risk document of my company, he is going to put on his name. He is going to take saying that The valuation has been done. These are the risk factors involved in the company. So based on the risk factors, please make a wise choice and decision in terms of investing in my company. So I am giving out very, very clearly to my investors, sir, there is risk factors involved. So that is why I put a asterisk mark and I say that terms and conditions apply. So this is what I try to say about the risk factor. So I'm not just going to say that my company is 100% risk free, please put all your money into my company. I am going to say that these are the risk factors. Who is going to do that? An underwriter is going to do that, and he is going to give a complete valuation. Moving forward, when I talk about the content, the name and address of the auditors will also be present. The amount of the preliminary expenses that is going to come in, that will also be told. The right of voting and meetings, yes, that is going to come into the picture. Particulars of capitalization, the surplus amount that is available, in what way they are going to be treated and adjusted. All those financial details are going to be there in my prospectus. So I am not going to give away things so easily. Followed by the types of prospectus. We have an abridged prospectus, a deemed prospectus, a shelf prospectus, and a red herring prospectus. Now, what are these prospectus all about? When I say an abridged prospectus, that's a complete prospectus including the price details, everything. So it's a complete composite prospectus altogether. So that's why I say it as abridged prospectus. Deemed prospectus, which means it's about to become, it is stated to be a prospectus. It's not exactly the prospectus, but it is stated to be like a prospectus. So it will have all the details that are included inside. Followed by the shelf prospectus. Now, what is a shelf prospectus? Is that it's only for the records, it's only for the book, so it's a consolidated factor again. The red herring prospectus is an immediate alternative prospectus where other than the price and details, everything else will be mentioned, so that they will invite people who are interested to invest in the company. In the red herring, I will not put down the price, I will not put down the bandwidth, I will give it to the public. Whoever is interested can come forward to me and say that, sir, I am interested. I will let you know the details of investing in my company. With this, I come to the end of the session. I believe that the session was highly interesting, informative, and useful for you. In the upcoming sessions, we are going to see about the penalties that are involved in terms of doing a misstatement on a prospectus in case of doing any unethical practices in the prospectus. Until then, stay tuned, stay blessed, and stay enlightened forever. Thank you once again for joining me on this wonderful day.